Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm Tiffany, I'm the artist behind it all, and we are starting a cute little pumpkin scene today. Since it's October, I thought this would be the perfect time to do this pumpkin scene. So this is just the underpainting. There's going to be another video on how to do the layers on top of it. So grab your paintbrush if you want to paint with me, and let's go paint. So I'm working on a Frederick's 8x10 medium textured canvas, and I've already laid down my design, and I just did it with a graphite pencil. And I like graphite because it will blend out when I add color on top of it, and that's what I want. I don't want those lines to stay there, so I don't mind if they eventually go away. That's what I want. I don't want you to be able to see them at the end. So this color for the painting, or for the pumpkin, I have pearl red and cadmium yellow with a little bit of titanium white to get it lighter. And when it gets in the darker areas, I just do less titanium white. How I got the green color, I use sap green and titanium white with a little bit of cadmium yellow in there as well to get a little bit of a yellow feel to it, and that will help it in the later layers. It'll help it to look like it's a little bit of a see-through, that these are very thin leaves. So I've switched right now to just a little flat brush to help get these little sharp edges. And for the pumpkin, I had a number 6 filbert brush that I used to fill that in. For these vines, I used the same green color that I did for the leaf. I just took a little bit of it, put it aside, and I added a little bit of red to it, which the pearl red, which what that did is just, it makes it just a little bit on the browner side. Just want a lot of different colors in all these things. You don't want every single one of these leaves to be the exact same color. So now I've switched to my Dagger brush, which I love. I cannot believe I have not been using this brush 24/7 for everything. I love the fact that you can use just the tip and get very, very fine lines like that, or you can use the broad part of it and turn it to its side a little bit, and you can fill in a lot of area. Like in this area right here, I'm just using the little tip, but it's all the same brush. So in this orange mixture that I did, I'm still using the same base color. All I did was just add a little bit more red into the mix, and that just darkened it up just a little bit. And I also added just a tiny bit of sap green, just so it would darken it up a little bit more, and it would also add just a little bit of a brownish undertone. And I want to establish my light coming in from the left hand side, so everything that I'm doing now on this side is going to be a lot darker, and that's going to help show the pumpkin is round. And that's also what all these dark lines in between each one of these humps is going to do. Those are the shadows that are created. So I'm going to keep one side sharp, and I'm going to blend the other side of these shadows into that hump. And I pretty much used this Dagger brush for the rest of the painting. Once I picked it up, I just fell in love with all the versatility that this thing has. Now, I don't want to go into my shadow area, but I do want to show that each hump is also round. So on each hump, I go and I darken just the outside, and I want to keep the middle as light as possible to show that the light is bouncing off of that the most. And same for this under. This under part is a shadow because it's going to roll underneath. It needs a shadow on the underneath side of it. And it's the same idea for up here at top. Even though the light is coming from this side that I'm working on now, it dips down into the stem area. So we want to make that just a little bit darker as well. And I've only sped this painting up times 2. So where it would have taken, 30 minutes to do this entire underpainting, it's not sped up so much that you can't see my brush work or anything else that I'm doing. You pretty much see everything that I'm doing. And that's using the side of the brush. It's showing that it's blending, and this is underneath that leaf, so that's why this is going to be darker. And in the next video, when we go in and add even more detail, I'll darken that up even more to show that that's going to be a really dark area. Still just trying to get all those crisp lines. See, and I've even tried darkening, but because everything is still so wet, it's just blending in. So that tells me that I'm gonna have to stop touching that, wait for it to dry, and then come back in to finish it up. And that's the one biggest thing that a lot of people complain about when they're working with oils. A lot of people make mud and they run away from oils because all they seem to be doing is making mud with them. That happens when there's too much paint on the surface and all you're doing is blending the paint that you have onto what's already there. So when you overblend or you work an area too much with too much paint, it's going to start to make mud. When you start to see that, that just means that you need to stop. You need to let that area dry, and then you can come back in the next day and rework that area and change it the way you'd like it. And this is where the Dagger brush really shined. I'm using the side of the brush to get big broad strokes to create all these little tiny streaks in the pumpkin. This brush just blew me away. I can't believe how versatile it is. I'm sort of, in a sense, dry brushing here, except that the paint underneath is wet. So unlike dry brushing where the paint breaks up, by doing it while the stuff is wet underneath, it's blending in more. It actually created a really cool effect. I really liked it. So this is really just a little painting. If you do want to see more realistic, more in-depth paintings that I do, make sure to check out my oil tutorial playlists where I do full landscapes that are very detailed, and I'll have that link in the description below. So right now I am going into my titanium white, and it's pretty much straight titanium white because all this paint is still so wet. I'm trying to define where the light is coming from, And again, in the next video, we'll go back in and define it even more. But for right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit of light on the pumpkin. As you can tell, I gave up pretty quickly from doing that because the paint underneath is still so wet. I wasn't getting anywhere. The light paint wasn't sticking to the canvas as well as I would like it to. So now this is mostly just sap green and titanium white, just a little titanium white because I wanted a darker color. I want to start adding a lot of variations. Leaves are very, very complex. I want to still show a lot of the first light layer that I put on, but I also want to start to add in some dark colors to show where the leaves fold over and how the light is hitting them. So I'm just dabbing on some colors here and there, and this may look really messy, but because leaves are so complex, there's going to be a lot of little layers that go on top of these leaves on every stage. So the first couple layers that you do are probably not going to look the greatest, but with every additional layer that we add on top of that, it's going to add more and more effects to the final product. So every little thing that we're doing is helping. It just doesn't really look that way too much right now. And again, with the stem, I just wanted to define it because stems have those really sharp edges. And there you go. That is the final underpainting. So I hope you really enjoyed that painting. We're going to do more layers on top of this to get it to look a little bit more realistic in the next video. So if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified when I upload the next videos. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.